Today is kind of the first day of the NFL offseason officially. Today's the first day that you can start franchise tagging players, and that gets the ball rolling in places about intentions, and it starts negotiations off usually on the wrong foot. As you know, franchise tags can either be applied or slapped on a player. They're applied if the player doesn't mind it. They're slapped on the player if the player absolutely minds it. And so that starts today. It's a 2-week period when franchise tags are thrown out there. You then have until the middle of the summer to negotiate a new deal. And if you don't, that player's got to play on the tag no matter what. So today is the first day, if you will, a figurative negotiations shot gets fired. And that's the reason why I'm going to choose today to give you a top 5 NFL spring storylines right here on the Rich Eisen Show. Hit it.
High five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Rich's Top 5.
All right, here we go. My top 5 NFL spring storylines before Mekhi Phifer joins us in studio. Number 5, it's very simple. How will the Chiefs handle their roster? That is going to be of note. Franchise tags being handed out today. Does Brett Veach go and sign Chris Jones to the richest contract in the history of defensive players? You pay him like a quarterback. What is L'Jarius Sneed going to get? And then there's the interesting factor as well. Do franchise tags get used in any way, shape, or form with anybody on this team? What is the future for Travis Kelce? He says he's going to come back in any possible way over the last week plus. He starts sitting there thinking, how am I going to do better than 2? I know that agreed is, for the lack of a better word, is good. 3 in a row, better than back-to-back. What does happen when free agency hits? Do they somehow, some way, go and get a significant free agent wide receiver to join this team? How do they handle this roster? What do they do at the tackles position? How do you make it all work? As you know, I said you've got to go all in, and that'll be a phrase you hear later on in this top 5, to get 3 in a row, even if it does put the future a little bit on the credit card. You've got one of the best chances I can remember that a team has the ability to go back to back to back. So how do they handle their rosters? Number 5. Number 4 on this list, where does Derrick Henry go?
Ooh.
And what does it mean for the running back market? Franchise tags get applied today. Do the Giants throw it on Saquon Barkley again? What does happen with Austin Ekeler, as he did not have a terrific season, but does a guy who I believe is on the way to the Hall of Fame, as he's hit 30, what does he command when he hits a market? And man, do the Dallas Cowboys go and get him? Do the Ravens go and get him? Are you hearing the Chiefs out there? I can't imagine.
I haven't really
there,
seen
right?
that, but I mean, Pacheco's fine on a rookie deal.
Clearly not.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but where does he wind up?
Baltimore, Dallas, those are kind of the winners.
I mean, how great would he be on either of those teams? And if not those teams, then where does he go? This is fascinating to me.
Buffalo.
Because there's tread on, wow. There's some tread on the tires. Number 3 on the list, we hit this on the Friday of our Super Bowl week with our first guest, Shawn Pyton of the Denver Broncos. Number 3 on the top 5 NFL spring storylines list is Denver's quarterback plans. So, what are they? Because Russell Wilson was benched after Christmas Eve, and the idea was we're not going to have him play meaningless football games, have him get hurt, and then that absolutely handcuffs our plans, even though his salary cap hit might sound like they handcuffed their plans anywhere, and they're still cuffed to him regardless of any decisions that they've already thought that we think they've already made about him because he's so damn expensive. We asked Shawn Pyton what the quarterback plans were on the Friday of Super Bowl week, and he basically told us that any ideas that have already been ascribed to them, any ideas that they've already made their choice to move on from Russ and they're going to move up in the draft, made no sense to him because they hadn't even had their meetings with their scouts or anybody on the quarterback position or their draft board at all. He said they were going to happen the following Monday.
We have our musts, our needs, and our wants. Can we find that in free agency? Can we find it in the draft? We pick 12th, or is it in the building? Mm-hmm. And I think that includes Russ. That discussion has to include Russ. And I think there's this presumption that he's not going to be part of the plan, and I recognize why that exists. And yet, as we look closely, because here's the thing we got to be careful about. If you just jump on the NFL train, then you're like, well, there's 6 quarterbacks, take one of them. Take Joey Harrington, not Julius Peppers, right? John Fox, Ernie Accorsi. You got to take Harrington. No, you don't. And this idea that the NFL bus tells us, here are the guys, when you and I and all of us know there's only going to be 1 or 2 of those guys that we hit on.
The train's already left the station because you sat Russ, to end the season, and that indicates where you're going.
Correct, but he and I have a great relationship, and he wants to be back, and so that means something. But we'll see.
We'll see. A lot of folks heard that and said he's just not being straight up. But the bottom line is Russ is still in the building, and if they can't get close enough in the draft to get somebody before the draft, or at least after the combine, decisions have to get made about new league year and how you pay people. I don't even know if they can make it to the draft. This is a fascinating story because it does affect so many other. The ripple effect affects so many other ponds. Number 2 on this list. What did Jerry Jones mean by all in when he was speaking at the Senior Bowl in January? Quote unquote, when he talked about going all in, they'll be all in at the end of this year, is what he meant. Meaning they're going to be all in on the playoffs, right? But then he went, well, it will be going all in on different people than you've done in the past. We will be going all in. We've seen some things out of some of the players that we want to be all in on. So I would say that you will see us this coming year not build it for the future. It's the best way I've ever said. And that ought to answer a lot of questions. Okay? Well, the question is, what did you mean by going all in? Does it mean Derrick Henry? Does it mean DeAndre Hopkins? Does it mean going and getting veterans and just saying, screw it? Because you're all in on Mike McCarthy. You got 1 more year. You lost your defensive coordinator, but you brought in Mike Zimmer, who, by the way, Dion loves. So many former players love Mike Zimmer. So,
get Dion back to play then.
I believe a different personality from his predecessor, but we will see. So you're going to see this defense, I think, be just as good. But what is it going to mean by going all in? New league year. What are you going to do? Because you got to extend Dak. You got to. Because that opens up so many of your other moves to massage this roster.
It's mandatory.
So what do you mean by going all in? That's number 2. And number 1, the number 1 NFL spring storyline, as it is every year, it's the quarterback free agent and draft carousel. What are the Bears going to do at 1? They're going to trade it. They're going to keep it. And if they trade it, to who? How far down do they go? Could they not like Caleb Williams? Could they actually like Justin Fields? What is going on with Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Is Kirk Cousins' Achilles going to be? I mean, he did some nice dance moves in the NFL honors. That's one way to basically say I'm going to be fine enough for free agency.
Right.
He seemed to be moving around just fine. Okay. So maybe he's speed bridged too. And then what does happen with Russell Wilson? Is Justin Fields going to be made available? What is going on with Drake May and Jaden Daniels and my guy, J.J. McCarthy and Michael Penix? And what are the Steelers really just going to be like, all right, let's bring back Mason Rudolph and have a competition with Kenny Pickett and we'll go? What is the deal? Is there another quarterback, 2nd, 3rd round that can be a shocker and be the next Russell Wilson and start and be terrific? What is going on with the quarterback free agent and draft carousel? That is the number 1 spring storyline.
You think we need one more?
I will give you one more.
All right, we'll get one more.
And it's a simple one. There hasn't, and this is not surprising, that we haven't heard a boo or a peep or a word. And by the way, my ear is to the ground in this part of our business as well. For sports TV, what does Bill Belichick do? What's he going to do? 49 straight years on the sideline as an assistant or a head coach in the NFL. Are the Niners calling him up right now and saying, hey, Bill, how about just coordinating the defense for us? You love being an X's and O's guy? I'm sure he just doesn't. We'll find out. Does he want to? He could be the defensive coordinator for the 49ers right now if he wants to. I'd imagine. I would imagine that's the case. Does he want to just coach and he'll go somewhere and coach at a smaller level, smaller school, different stuff? Will he just be a consultant? Is he going to show up on TV? What's he going to do?
He wants that record, Rich.
Well, I mean, I know he wants that record, but he's not going to add to his head coaching win total this year.
No.
I can't imagine someone will fire a coach and he'll be a midseason pickup for somebody.
He could just chill and wait for the.
I know, but and in
guys
terms
to
of
get fired
chilling,
next year.
then what does he do in terms of chilling? Because I bet you every television network. I don't want to come out and say it, but I heard there were some television meetings involving some Super Bowl players during the Super Bowl week. I mean, I hear so much about what TV and sports TV executives are doing. The rumor mill is everywhere. Everywhere. Haven't heard a thing about Bill. Zero. And then maybe it's because like Fight Club, because if you talk about it, he ain't coming.
Maybe.
That's my top 5 NFL spring storylines list. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.